Welcome back. Now we'll have the Commissioner for Information, Adeneye, here with us. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Well, it's another investors forum, and as usual, there will always be so much questions on the part of investors, participants, to see how can they access this. But in terms of the information management system, is this something you have working on after this summit? Because this is not the first, second, the third, this fourth, in fact.
This is the fourth
How do you
edition.
sustain that?
Well, efforts are, as soon as one ends, we're always planning for the next one, even though it's 2 years away. So our website is very much open. We have a one-stop shop, like I'm sure previous commissioners must have mentioned, for investors to tap into. What we find is that, I'm sure you know by now that when this administration came in 2011, we were rated about 35th or so out of 36 states in terms of ease of doing business. Yeah. But with the transformation and some rejiggling that we've done, when the next report came out in 2014, we were rated among the top 4. And that has helped, the investor to trickle in. We continue to try to put a positive image of the state, but like they say, nothing sells like
bad news.
but really, we've enjoyed relative peace in Ogun State, so that helps us sell our image. We as information managers just continue to make sure that the world knows what Ogun State is about. We are a state of many firsts. It's a very peaceful, very serene environment, very conducive for people who want to
But there's some who are concerned that yes, the world knows about Ogun State being a peaceful state, an attractive spot for investors, but then the locals, the residents, especially those in the hinterlands and all that, are hardly aware of what is on ground, or maybe they want to see what's on ground before they even begin to hear. How do you handle that?
That's a good question, but I would rather say that they are quite aware, believe you me. Members of this administration, including the governor himself, His Excellency, Senator Bikama, there's no particular, 2 days don't go by that it doesn't head to, into the hinterland, to the nooks and crannies of Ogun State. If you talk about infrastructural development that's taking place in Ogun State, it has touched all, 3 senatorial districts of Ogun State. Whether you go to Jebode, you go to Shagamu, you go to Ilaro, Ayetoro, not just Abeokuta, the capital city. So the residents and the locals, they know what's going on. They know the transformation. As a matter of fact, they're yearning for it. Anytime they see the governor, whether on the streets, on the road, they ask, when are you going to come and demolish our own? Because they see the, what has transpired from...
Or they ask, when are you going to finish this one you started?
Well, some even, you'll be surprised. Initially, when the demolition started, to pave way for a road expansion, a lot of people had reservations. Oh, they're going to demolish our homes, and that's it. But as they saw the transformation, wait a minute, this brought about, bigger investors, brought about more investment, the value of their real estate appreciated. We noticed an increase in people demanding that, okay, when are you going to come to our area now? Our area too, we want, wider roads, we want the 3-lane road, we want the 6-lane roads. So the locals, they do know, and that's the next priority for this administration. We're moving into the hinterland for the rural roads. We're going to do over 100 roads for our local farmers to be able to access, the markets.
Will you finish all these projects that you started, or the ones you intend to begin? Will you finish it before the end of this administration?
By the special grace of God, this administration will endeavor to finish every project. Well, we know government is a continuum. Government doesn't end May 29 when the administration...
Because people will say that's an excuse you're making not to complete on the project.
No, this administration doesn't make any excuses. We've tried very hard. If you look across the length and breadth of Ogun State, when you talk about what's left to be done, we're talking about maybe bridges and some flyovers, and the one that is at the least complete is about 82%. When you look about, you're talking about Sango, Jodu, Baga Road, we have about over 5 bridges and flyovers in that axis. That road is estimated to cost over 70 billion on completion. So it's a big project that can be done overnight. But by the special grace of God, we will take it to a logical conclusion. Even if we don't, the next administration would have very little or nothing to do in terms of completing that.
How do you deal with perception or impression that people have that, say, for instance, a particular quality or type of road, so much money was spent, but the quality not commensurate? How do you deal with those kind of scenarios?
Well, the records are there. Thank God, we live in a democratic setting. You have access to information. nothing is hidden about the figures of what we do in Ogun State. When you're even the
Thank you very much.
Nations and governments are taking critical actions to check extreme poverty, gender inequality, climate change, and other global challenges captured under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This International Stakeholders Conference is one of such. It's a collaboration between the Ogun State government and the Civil Society Coalition on Sustainable Development.
So they are not going to be competing on a two-lane road with cars and transport. So they're going to be provided an extra lane for trucks, not just for safety, but for ease of movement and ease of doing business. So those are the forward-thinking ideas that this administration is taking upon itself. Hence the 10-lane road, hence the expansion, hence the massive investment in infrastructure.
What about the housing prospects for the state? How well have you been able to handle that particular item that has to do with also improving on the ease of doing business?
Well, it's one of our 5 cardinal programs. The governor, in this administration, the governor has been very, very adamant that we not only want to attract investors, we don't want just the workers and the laymen, to live and work in Ogun State. We also want the management, the CEOs, we want them to live here. Hence, you will see on driving in, you will see the PNB, President Muhammadu Buhari estate. You will see quite a few housing estates right here in the capital city, and some also in development out in the other 2 senatorial districts. So housing is a very, very key program for us. We want people to not just work here, we want them to also live here. And we're not talking just the lower workers, we want the management, both middle and the higher management, to live here as well.
All right, we'll anchor at the point.
And gentlemen like you as well.
We'll anchor at that point. Adeneye is the Commissioner for Information and Strategy. Thank you for coming on and all the best. So we will be back in a moment. Join us again.